Thanks. Welcome to Toronto. So we are sitting here in downtown Toronto, and it's a great world city. I like a lot of cities in the world. And it's great because if we go out those doors behind us, what do we find? We find a city full of buildings and parks and dogs and cats and kids and cafes and restaurants and alleys and more people and more people and more people, all sorts of people, and raccoons. And we find children and raccoons together sometimes, and that's why the city is great, because it's all these different things together with raccoons. So let's take a tour of one of Toronto's great neighborhoods. So here we are out on the sidewalk, and there's a busy city woman rushing, because that's what we do in the city. We rush from one place to another, and she's going by a salon, and above it, people live, and there's a really cheap haircut you can get there. Further down the street, there's a pub, and there's a Caribbean kitchen, and above the pub, there's something called the Gold House. Cities are all about layers. A little farther down, there's Zena's Diner, Canadian and Middle Eastern food. I know what one of those things is. I'm not sure what Canadian food is. But it's a city, and it has something for everyone. You can get clothes, you can get checks cashed, you can make a sign, you can get gum, you can park your bike out front and not lock it. There's wool shops. It's hard to tell if these kind of shops these days are for grandmothers or hipster dudes. You can't tell. But there it is. It's a city. You can get your picture taken, get your taxes done. You can get bakery items. You can get retro burgers, old burgers. You can get more food. You can get a drink, thank God. And out back, there's alleys, the wonderful sinister mystery of alleys and great fire escapes. And you can imagine Streetcar Named Desire and Stanley Kowalski standing on the top of this, bellowing down, "Stella, Stella!" Because people fall in love in the alleys and they do bad things in the alleys, but cities have alleys. And back out front, you can get stuff to eat. And you can get all these different things. They're all jammed in together. And you don't know how long they've been there. Some stores sell everything. How it fits in there, I don't know. And more food and mattresses. And things that you'd never think would go together, hang out next door to each other, and people wander by and look in and hang out and have a cigarette and a coffee, and then there's a barbershop and a shoe repair and a paperback store next door to each other. And what fantastic Toronto neighborhood is this that we must celebrate, that must be written up all the time? This is a Scarborough strip mall. It's actually 2 or 3 strip malls together around Eglinton and Lawrence. And Scarborough is our post-war suburb, like a lot of post-war suburbs in North America. It's about 20 kilometers from where we are right now. And these strip malls have really become like old-fashioned main streets. Just they're behind a few rows of parking lots. But it's really exciting out there because the rent is low, unlike downtown. So there's a lot of stuff happening. And it's really like what the urban thinker Jane Jacobs advocated for, these really dynamic urban strips where anything can happen and culture mixes and economy mixes. And in a sense, these days, the suburbs have kind of become a little more downtown than downtown, because downtown's too expensive to be downtown. So, what have we learned? We've learned that the suburbs are exciting. They just look a little bit different. They're surrounded by a different territory, but the same kind of stuff happens. So is this a problem? It seems to be a problem in Toronto and other cities, because there seems to be this weirdo suburban-urban divide. In Toronto, we talk about the S&M crowd. The S&M crowd invades our downtown bars on Friday and Saturday nights. Now that's the Scarborough and Mississauga crowd. Mississauga being our other suburb to the west. But this happens everywhere. In New York City, Manhattanites complain about the bridge and tunnel crowd invading, and other cities have other pejorative terms for people in the suburbs. So essentially what we're doing is we're dismissing an entire part of the city based on how it's built, based on its geography. And swooped up in that dismissal are the people. And it's weird because a lot of us are from the suburbs, so it's a weird form of self-hate. But even more importantly, the suburbs give us the right to brag in the city. We love cities because they're these great multicultural places. In Toronto, we brag, whether it's true or not, that this is the most multicultural place on earth. But it isn't happening downtown. It's happening in the suburbs, in our towers, in our strip malls. So the suburbs kind of give us the cred that we trade on. but we still don't like the suburbs. It's weird. So there's been a global renaissance lately in the last 10, 15 years. We have superstar mayors, downtowns are becoming shiny, but we've left out the suburbs of this. We get really focused on what I like to call cupcake urbanism, which is, you know what it's like. You walk to a downtown strip and you can get 4 different kinds of cupcakes in every store, and there might be a cafe selling brunch and lineups out the way, and there's a flower store, and there's a dog cookie store, but there isn't a lot of other useful stuff. And that stuff is nice, but it's not like those suburban strip malls we saw, which has that variety, which has that kind of economic and cultural freedom to let anything happen. So in a sense, our downtowns have sort of become malls, while our suburbs have become these liberated zones of far-out wild culture and economics. In a sense, the downtown needs the suburbs more than the suburbs needs the downtown. The suburbs are the future. They are the fastest growing parts of our cities. They are the fastest changing. They're where all the new people show up. And that old saying that the suburbs are a wasteland is dead. So what can we do? We don't have to go out to eat in the suburbs. We don't have to go hang out in strip malls. So we can do that if you want. It's fun. What we have to do is just sort of figure out a way to get over that stupid divide and start thinking of ourselves as one big city. Because the great thing about cities is that people from all over the place come here, and they mix, and they produce stuff that we can't predict. So in a sense, the downtown and the suburbs, we need each other. And these cities in the future that are able to kind of get over this and put all the elements into their kind of urban cauldron and make stuff, and make new culture, and make new economies, the cities that can do that well, they're going to be the winners. Thank you.